The sweet and fun note of the grassland with red fruit strawberries on the warm grassland bathed in sunlight. There is a patch of bright red strawberries, and the most catching one is called Maymay. The fruit of Maymay is like a tiny red lantern covered with shiny seeds and topped with a tender green umbrella. It feels soft and has a sweet fruiting fragrance. The mother bee always says, Maymay is the little sweet pearl on the grassland. It is cute in appearance and even sweeter in heart. That early morning, little Ant Guagu was carrying sugar grains on his back and was on his way home when he was blocked by a small soil slope. Maymay quickly shook her leaves and shouted, Guagu, climb up along my vine. It bends the slender vines into gentle slopes, turning them into a green vine bridge. Guagu slowly climbed along the vine and waved her antennae at Maymay. Thank you, Maymay. Your vines are more stable than small steps. In the morning, the sun rose slowly, making the ground feel warm. Little ladybug Dion couldn't find a shady spot and lay on the ground listlessly. Maymay opened the small green umbrella above her head as if holding up a small red and green canopy. Dion, come here to cool off quickly. The dots landed on the soft leaves, and the cool touch immediately made it perk up. Flapping its wings, it said, Thank you, Maymay. It's even more comfortable here than the shade of leaves, and it also has a fruity fragrance. At noon, little butterfly Tizai came back from gathering honey. Her mouth was dry, but she couldn't find any dew. Maymay remembered the morning dew condensed on her fruit and quickly said, Sigh, come and have a drink of water. It gently tilts the fruit, allowing the shiny dewdrops to drip in front of Sai. Sai licked the sweet dew and regained her strength. Thank you, Maymay. Your dew is sweeter than nectar and has the fragrance of strawberries. In the afternoon, the little girl Duadwo from the neighbor's house came to play on the grass. As soon as she saw the bright red Maymay, her eyes lit up. Wow! This strawberry is so cute, like a little red gem. Duadwo gently squatted down. She didn't pick any fruits at will. Instead, she moved closer to smell the fragrance of the fruits and carefully pushed aside the weeds beside Maymay. Maymay shook the fruit and turned the reddest and sweetest side towards Duadwo, as if saying, Come and have a taste. In the evening, dark clouds drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Maymay thought of the little cricket Lele, who lived in the nearby pile of withered grass. Its little nest was unobstructed. Maymay quickly spread out all her leaves, trying to spread them as wide as possible, like holding up a tiny green umbrella. Just enough to cover Lele's little nest. When the raindrops pattered down, Lele hid under the umbrella and said with a smile, Thank you, Maymay. Your leaves are more effective than other leaves. I didn't get wet at all. The setting sun dyed the grassland an orange red. The friends gathered around Maymay and held a small sharing session. The little ant brought sweet sugar grains. The little ladybug shared nectar. And Duadwo brought clear water and even watered Maymay. Maymay stood in the middle. The red fruit was shining gently in the setting sun. It said, "I'm the happiest to be able to help everyone and share the sweetness." Mother Bee smiled and said, "Mimi's fruit is sweet, but her willingness to share is even more precious." When the moon rises, its moonlight spills over the grass, and the berries of red fruits seem to be coated with a layer of silver. Because of the strawberries, this small meadow has become sweeter and warmer. Such days are sweeter than strawberry juice and more dazzling than the bright red fruits. The little sun on the grassland, with sunflowers blooming one after another in the center of the field, stands a golden sunflower. Her name is Duodwo's flower head is like a round little sun. Its petals are dazzling bright yellow. Inside the flower head are densely packed small melon seeds. The stem is straight like a small pillar. No matter where the sun goes, her flower head always faces the sunlight steadily. The mother field mouse always says, "Duodwo is the little sun in the grassland." She chasing the light herself and can also bring warmth to everyone. In the early morning, the little bee buzzed and got lost, circling around the flower beds. Duodwo quickly shook the flower tray to make the petals reflect a brighter light. "Buzz, come towards me." A buzzing sound flew in the direction of the light and landed on the flower bed. Immediately, I smelled the sweet fragrance of nectar and happily picked it up. "Thank you, Duodwo. Your flower plates are more effective than road signs, and your nectar is sweeter than honey." In the morning, the sun rose higher and higher. Little hedgehog Kuki ran home with wild fruits on her back, sweating profusely from the sun. Duodwo quickly tilted the big flower plate and set up a golden canopy for Kuki. "Kuki, come and rest your feet here." Kuki crawled under the flower stem. A cool shadow immediately enveloped him. He held the wild fruit and said, "Thank you, Duodwo. Your flower beds are even more comfortable than the shade of big trees. They carry a pleasant fragrance when the wind blows." At noon, little Aunt Guagu led her team to carry cookie crumbs. Halfway through, they were stopped by a small ditch. When Duodwo saw this, she let several broad leaves hang down and rest on both sides of the ditch, forming a green leaf bridge. "Guagu, come along the leaves." The little ants lined up and climbed steadily across the leaf bridge. Guagu waved her antennae and thanked her. "Sister Duodwo, your leaves are even more stable than small wooden boards. Thank you so much." In the afternoon, a few dark clouds drifted over the sky, and it seemed that it was going to rain. Duodwo thought of the little cricket lily living under the dandelion nearby. Its wings were most afraid of moisture. Duodwo quickly lowered the flower plate, and the petals tightly closed together like a little golden umbrella covering the dandelion. "Lily, come in quickly." But when the raindrops tick-tock fell, Lele was singing under the umbrella, not getting wet at all. "Thank you, Duodwo. Your flower tray is more useful than a small flower umbrella." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the fields orange red. The little girl, Yaya, from the neighbor's house came to pick flowers. As soon as she saw Duodwo, she laughed. "Wow, this sunflower is so beautiful, just like a little sun." Yaya didn't pick her. Instead, she found some small stones to circle around the roots and watered them, saying, "I want to protect you and let you keep chasing the sun and blooming." Duodwo shook the flower tray and pointed the fullest petals towards Yaya, as if saying thank you. When the moon rises, the flower discs still retain the warmth of the sun. Looking at her sleeping friend beside her, she felt warm in her heart. Because of the blooming sunflowers, this field has become brighter and warmer. Even the evening breeze is filled with the sweet scent of a mixture of sunlight and honey. The farm fun of little red pig Tuanchuan. In the pigsty of the farm, there lived a chubby little red pig named Tuanchuan. Tuanchuan's fur is as shiny as red rouge. Her round belly is soft and fluffy. Her 4 short little legs make a dada sound when she runs. Her tail is curled into a small question mark. Grandpa, the farm owner, always says Tuanchuan is the little jockey of the farm. She is naughty and warm-hearted. She is always popular wherever she goes. Early in the morning, the little hen Hua-Hoo was giggling anxiously beside the chicken coop. Her eggs had rolled into the crack of the firewood pile and couldn't be pecked out. Tuanchuan heard the noise and rushed over with her round nose. She gently pushed aside the firewood and cracked out the eggs one by one, as if hunting for treasures. Antwawa, don't panic. It protected the egg with its soft belly and slowly pushed it towards Hua Hua Hua. Hua pecked Tuan Tuan's ear and said, "Thank you, Tuan Tuan. Your nose is more dexterous than a small shovel." In the morning, as the sun rose slowly, the little ducklings wanted to jump into the pond to swim, but the slope by the pond was too slippery. They wobbly kept falling down. Tuanchuan quickly lay down on the dirt slope, turning into a soft red carpet. "Gagas, slide down with me." The little ducks lined up, stepped onto Anchuan's back, and jumped into the pond with a thump-thump sound, happily shouting, "Brother Tuanchuan, you're even more comfortable than the little slide." At noon, the little goat, Meow Meow, couldn't find any fresh and tender grass and could only gnaw on the dry and hard straw. Tuanchuan thought of the green grassland at the back of the mountain and quickly led Meow Meow to run back up the mountain, even helping Meow Meow push aside the tall weeds. Meow Meow ate the green grass in big bites and shook Tuanchuan's horns, saying, "Thank you, Tuanchuan. You are such a reliable little guide. The green grass smells much better than straw." In the afternoon, dark clouds drifted over the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Tuanchuan recalled the corn drying in the yard. If it got wet, it would mold. It quickly used its body to push against the bamboo basket, scooped the corns one by one into the basket, and called its friends to move them to the warehouse together. When the raindrops pattered down, the corn was already safely in the warehouse. Grandpa the farmer patted Tuanchuan's head and smiled. "Our Tuanchuan is so capable." In the evening, the little girl Duadro from the neighbor's house came to the farm to play. As soon as she saw the bright red Tuanchuan, she ran over and said, "Wow. This little red pig is so cute, just like a little lantern." Duadwa gently stroked Tuanchuan's back. Tuanchuan meekly rubbed against her palm and pushed the little wildflower she had found in front of Duadwa with her nose. Duadwa clapped her hands happily and said, "Tuanchuan, you are so considerate. Let's be friends." The setting sun dyed the farm a warm red. The friends gathered in the yard and held a small sharing session. For Tu and Tuan, the hen brought fresh eggs. The duck shared dried fish, and Duadwo brought sweet carrots. Tuanchuan was lying in the middle, munching on a carrot. Her round belly was bulging, and her heart was warm. Because of the little red pig Tuanchuan, this small farm has become livelier and warmer. Even the wind is filled with the scent of happiness. The heartwarming underwater story of the orange-finned little fish Orange, Orange in the shallow coral sea. There swims a shiny little fish. Its name is Orange. Orange's body is like it's smeared with orange marmalade. Its orange-yellow scales are giving off a soft glow. Its dorsal and caudal fins have a faint orange-red color. When it swims, it looks like a moving little maple leaf. The mother fish always says, "Orange is the little sun at the bottom of the sea." It's eye-catching in appearance, but warm in heart. That early morning, little seahorse Dion got lost among the seaweed and wandered around but couldn't find her mother. Orange swam over and asked softly, Dion, why are you here alone?" Dion hung her little tail and said, "I can't find my mum." Orange smiled and said, "Don't be afraid. I'll take you to look for it." It let Dion follow behind it and swim slowly along the coral reef. Its orange body stands out particularly in the water. The mother seahorse quickly found them by the color and wagged its tail at Orange. "Thank you, Orange. You are such a reliable little guide." In the morning, the sun shone through the sea. Little Conch Lele wanted to climb up to the high coral to bask in the sun, but the coral was too slippery. After climbing several times, she always slipped down. Orange saw this and swam over quickly, holding Lele steadily with her body. "Lele, I'll help you get up." It swam slowly and carried Lele to the top of the coral. Lele happily turned around and said, "Thank you, Orange. Your back is more stable than a small boat. The sunshine here is so warm." At noon, the seabed was a bit muggy. Little shrimp Meng couldn't find the cool water flow and lay on the sand looking listless. Orange remembered the cold water flowing behind the coral reef and quickly said, Meng, follow me." It led Meng through the seaweed and to the cold water stream, and also helped Meng push away the small stones blocking the way. Meng soaked in the cool water and immediately perked up. "Thank you, Orange. You are such a warm-hearted friend. Cold water is more comfortable than a cool spring." In the afternoon, the little hermit crab Bibi wanted to change to a larger shell, but the new one was too heavy to carry. Orange saw this and said with a smile, "Bibi, don't worry. I'll help you push it." It held the shell with its head and Bibi pulled from behind. Together, they delivered the beautiful new shell to Bibi's home. Bibi crawled into the new shell and waved her pincers at Cheng Cheng, saying, "Thank you, Cheng Cheng. Your strength is even greater than a small cart. I finally have a new home." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the seawater a warm orange. The underwater friends gathered around the coral reefs and held a small sharing session for Orange Orange. The little seahorse brought fresh plankton, the little conch shared sweet seaweed juice, and the little hermit crab presented smooth pebbles. Orange swam in the middle. Its orange scales glowed gently in the setting sun. It said, "I'm the happiest to be able to help everyone." Mother Fish smiled and said, "Orange's orange fins are eye-catching, but her helpful heart is even more precious. When the moon rises, its moonlight spills into the ocean floor. The orange scales, reflecting the moonlight, seem to have been sprinkled with a layer of silver powder. Because of the orange-finned little fish orange, this small coral sea has become warmer and more lively. Such days are more pleasant than sweet seaweed juice and more dazzling than orange scales." The sweet and fun forest notes of baby golden banana one on the banana tree by the forest. There hangs a bunch of chubby bananas. They are called one. The bens are dressed in golden coats, their bodies curved into tiny crescent moons. They feel smooth to the touch and are wrapped in a faint fruity fragrance. The monkey mother always says, "Bens are the little sweet fruits in the forest." They are not only sweet, but also willing to share happiness with everyone. That early morning, the little squirrel Tauto was pacing around anxiously under the tree. It wanted to have sweet bananas for breakfast. But the tree was too high to climb up. The bens were discussing. The banana at the bottom gently swayed and slowly slid down the branch, landing steadily in front of Tauto. Tao held a banana and peeled it open, the sweet juice flowing out. "Thank you, One. You are sweeter than honey. What a delicious breakfast." In the morning, the sun rose slowly, making the ground feel warm. The little ants passed by carrying biscuit crumbs, so exhausted that they lay on the ground panting. The little ants let the leaves gently droop down, as if holding up a golden canopy. "Little ants, come and rest." The ants hid in the shadow of the banana and licked the sweet juice seeping out by one. The team leader waved his antennae and said, "Thank you, One. It's more comfortable here than a big tree shade, and the sweet juice is more fragrant than nectar." At noon, little hedgehog Kuki was thirsty and couldn't find clean water to drink. The bens quickly let the sweet juice on their bodies drip slowly onto the leaves in front of Kuki. Kuki licked the sweet juice and immediately perked up, arching her body and saying, "Thank you, One. Your sweet juice is more thirst-quenching than spring water. It's so delicious." In the afternoon, the little girl Duardwo from the neighbor's house came to play in the forest. As soon as she saw the golden bend, her eyes lit up. "Wow, this bunch of bananas is so beautiful, like a string of little crescent moons." Duardwo gently touched One's coat. She didn't pick it off casually, but just moved closer to smell the fruit fragrance. The bend swayed their bodies, turning their yellows and sweeter sides towards Duardwo, as if saying, "I'm so sweet." In the evening, dark clouds drifted from the sky and it seemed that it was about to rain. The Bens thought of the little ladybug Dion, living under the leaves, whose wings were afraid of getting wet in the rain. The Bens bent the branches down, blocking the gaps between the leaves with their own bodies, like holding up a little golden umbrella, just covering the dots. When the raindrops fell drip, drip, Dion hid under the umbrella and said with a smile, "Thank you, One. Your body works better than leaves. I didn't get wet at all." The setting sun dyed the forest a warm yellow. The friends gathered under the banana tree and held a small sharing session. The little squirrel brought pine seeds, the little ant brought cookie crumbs, and Duadwo brought clear water and even watered the banana tree. The Bens hung on the vines, their golden bodies shining gently in the setting sun. They said, "We are the happiest to be able to share the sweetness with everyone." The banana tree mother smiled and said, "The curved flesh is sweet, but the willingness to share is even more precious." When the moon rises, its moonlight spills over the forest, and the crescents are wrapped in the fragrance of fruits, as if sprinkled with a layer of silver powder. Because of the golden banana baby One, this small forest has become sweeter and warmer. Such days are sweeter than banana juice and more dazzling than a golden coat. The honey-gathering story of the buzzing pink chick on the farm beside the chicken coop on the farm lived a special little chicken, and everyone called her Buzz. Unlike other chicks, she is not yellow. Instead, she is covered with tender pink down, as if wrapped in a layer of strawberry-flavored marshmallow. There is also a tuft of upturned down on her head, as if she were wearing a small pink hat. The most special thing about Weng is that she always follows the little bees on the farm, imitating them to flap their little wings though she can't fly high, and always brings the sweet petals she finds to her friends. Everyone laughs and says Weng is a pink chick that loves to be a little bee. That early morning, as soon as the sun had warmed the farm, Buzzing followed the little bee Lele, actually running on the ground to the sunflower field of the farm. Lele was busy gathering honey from the flower's heart. Weng also came over and gently touched the petals with her little pointed beak. Suddenly, she noticed that one of the petals was covered with sweet dew. She quickly picked up the petal and ran to the chicken coop to look for the little duck Ya. Couldn't find anything delicious this morning and was lowering her head and sighing. Buzzing placed the petals in front of Ya and made 2 GG sounds, as if saying, "Taste it quickly. This is sweet." Ya pecked at the dew on the petals and her eyes lit up at once. "Thank you, Weng. This is sweeter than the water in the pond. You are truly my little bee friend." In the morning, as the sun rose slowly, the little butterfly Hoo on the farm was resting on the sunflower. Suddenly, a gentle breeze blew her wings askew. Hoo was so scared that she didn't dare to move, fearing that she might fall down. When Weng saw this, she quickly ran to the sunflower, stood on tiptoe, and gently rubbed Wawa's wings with her tender pink down, making a GG sound to comfort her. Hua Hua slowly steadied her wings, flew down and landed on Weng Weng's back, smiling and saying, "Weng Weng, your down is so soft, more comfortable than petals. With you by my side, I'm not afraid at all." Buzzing carried Hua Hua on his back and slowly walked to another field of sunflowers that were blooming more vigorously, helping Hua Hua find the sweetest one. At noon, Duadwo, the young owner of the farm, came to feed the little animals millet. She found a little ladybug named Diandian trapped in a spiderweb in the small wildflower bed beside the chicken coop. Diandian's back shell was tightly wrapped by the web, and she was so anxious that she kept shaking her antennae. Duadwo wanted to help, but the spider web was too thin and she was afraid of hurting Diandian. When Buzzing saw this, she hurried over and carefully pecked through the silk threads of the spiderweb with her small pointed beak. Her mouth was so tiny that it could just open the web without touching the dots. Dion climbed out of the net and onto the buzzing fluff, shaking the spot at her and saying, "Thank you, Buzzing. Your little mouth is even more powerful than a pair of scissors. But I'm finally out." Duadwo smiled and patted Weng Weng's head, saying, "Our Weng Weng is such a powerful little helper. They're even better at helping than little bees." In the afternoon, a few dark clouds suddenly drifted in from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Buzzing recalled the little ants in the corner of the farm. They were still carrying breadcrumbs. It would be terrible if they were washed away by the rain. Buzzing hurriedly ran to the ant colony, chirping "wee," and picked up a big leaf and placed it beside the ant colony. The leaf could help them keep off the rain. The little ants understood the meaning of buzz and quickly carried the breadcrumbs under the leaves. As soon as they finished, raindrops began to fall with a drip-drip sound. Captain Ant climbed to Weng Weng's feet and shook his antennae. "Thank you, Weng Weng. Your reminder came faster than raindrops. Our breadcrumbs are safe." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the farm orange-red. Buzzing sat beside the sunflower, surrounded by Ya Hua Hua Dion and Duo, sharing the millet grains and sweet petals brought by Duadwo combed Weng Weng's pink fur and whispered, "Although Weng Weng is a chick, she is as diligent and warm-hearted as a little bee. Everyone likes you." She made a buzzing Gigi sound twice, rubbed her head against Duadwo's hand, and felt warm in her heart. Suddenly, she realized that it didn't matter if she wasn't a real little bee. She could help Ya find sweet dew, accompany Hua in finding sweet flowers. Rescue Dion in creating spider webs and protect ants from the rain. It was much happier than just following the little bees. When the moon rose, it buzzed in the chicken coop, its tender pink down shining like a glowing little marshmallow under the moonlight. The farm was quiet, with only the rustling sound of the evening breeze caressing the sunflower petals. Because of this buzzing, this small farm became increasingly lively and warm. Such days were sweeter than the sweet dew and more beautiful than the pink down. The warm memories of starfish in the shallow sea by the seaside. There lives a lovely starfish, which everyone calls Star. She has 5 orange-red little arms that form a round star shape. Her body is also dotted with faint white spots, as if sprinkled with a handful of crushed salt grains. It feels soft, yet very resilient. The stars moved slowly, gently touching the rocks at the bottom of the sea with each step. But she wasn't in a hurry at all. She always said that only by walking slowly could she discover the small shells hidden in the crevices of the rocks and hear the sounds of the waves and the little fish talking. All the friends in the shallow sea like to play with her because her star-shaped body always brings different kinds of help. That early morning, Xing Xing had just found a small clam by the reef for breakfast when it heard a soft whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. It was a little hermit crab. The little snail shell it was carrying had accidentally got stuck in the crevice of the reef and couldn't be pulled out no matter how hard it tried. When the waves rushed, it trembled with fear. Xing Xing quickly and slowly moved over, gently hugging the reef with its 5 little arms, and then reached one of its arms beside the snail shell, carefully pushing it out through the crack. "Zixi, don't be afraid. I'll help you get the shell out." Crab, carrying a snail shell on its back, quickly climbed onto Star's body to rest, and waved its little pincers at Star, saying, "Thank you, Star. Your little arms are more flexible than my pliers. I'm no longer afraid of getting stuck." In the morning, the sun gradually rose higher, and the sunlight in the shallow sea became warm. Little seahorse Tiao Tiao was practicing swimming in the water, but its little tail was still not very flexible. After swimming for a while, it was so tired that it wanted to rest, but the sand at the bottom of the sea was too soft, and it could never sit steadily. Jiao Qiao saw Xing Xing lying on the rock and swam over quickly. "Xing Xing Xing, can I rest on you for a while?" Xing Xing quickly stretched out her body and laid her 5 little arms flat. "Come on. My body is like a small platform. It's so stable." Tiao Tiao lay on Xing Xing's orange-red body, her little tail gently resting on her arm, and sighed comfortably. "Thank you, Xing Xing. Your body is softer than sand and more stable than a reef. I can finally have a good rest." At noon, Duadwo, a little girl from the seaside, came to the shallow sea to go beachcombing. She was holding a small bucket, hoping to find the most special shell as a souvenir. But after searching for a long time, all she could find were small, ordinary shells, and she seemed a bit listless. Xing Xing saw Duadwo beside the reef and quickly moved slowly to a reef where colorful shells were hidden. He gently touched the shell with his little arm to expose a little of it. When Duadwo saw that orange-red figure, she hurried over and turned over the reef to take a look. Sure enough, there was a shell with purple patterns. Duadwo happily put the shell into the small bucket and gently touched Xing Xing's body. "Xing Xing, you are so nice. You are like a little guide, helping me find such beautiful shells. Thank you so much." The star's body swayed slightly, as if saying, "You're welcome." In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly rose from the sky. A gentle breeze blew over the sea surface, and the current in the shallow sea became a bit swift. The little sardine Duardwo, which had just swum in from the deep sea, got separated from the school of fish and was pacing around in the water in a panic, about to be swept away by the current. Duardwo saw a little star lying on the rock in the distance. It was a star. Her orange-red body stood out particularly in the muddy water. Duardwo quickly swam towards the stars. Seeing Duardwo's anxious look, Xing Xing quickly formed a small protective circle with her 5 little arms, allowing Duardwo to hide inside and block the rapid current. Duardwo, don't be afraid. Stay with me and you'll be safe. It wasn't long before Duardwo's school of fish came over. Duardwo wagged its tail at Xing Xing and said, "Thank you, Xing Xing. Your body is like a little shield, helping me block the water flow. I've finally found my partner." In the evening, the setting sun filtered through the sea, dyeing the shallow sea an orange-red color. Xing Xing was lying on the reef, surrounded by Zixi, Tiao, Tiao, Duardwo, and Duardwo, who came back with a small bucket. Duardwo placed the colorful shells she found beside the stars. Zixi shared the little shrimps she had found. Tiao and Duardwo swam round the stars. Everyone was laughing very happily. Xing Xing looked at the smiling faces of his friends. His orange-red body shone with a warm light, and his heart was sweet. Suddenly, she felt that there was nothing wrong with moving a little slower and looking a bit more like a star. It was much more interesting than constantly lying on the reef looking for clams than being able to help Zizi find snail shells, serve as a platform for Jiao Tiao to rest on, help Duo find shells, and help Duo block the water flow. When the moon rises, the stars are still lying on the rocks. Their orange-red bodies under the moonlight look like glowing little stars. Occasionally, they touch the small shells beside them with their little arms, as if whispering to them. The shallow sea is quiet, with only the whoosh-whoosh sound of the waves crashing against the rocks. Because of the stars, this shallow sea has become increasingly lively and warm. Such days are sweeter than the fresh clams and more beautiful than the orange-red star-shaped bodies.
A heartwarming memory of the blue bear's blue forest. In the misty forest, there lived a special little bear, which everyone called Xiong Lan. Unlike other little bears, he was not brownish. Instead, he had a coat of deep blue fur, like a coat woven from the sky. When the sunlight shone on him, it would give off a faint glow. Even the tips of his ears were tinged with a light white, as if they had been touched by a few snowflakes. Xiong Lan's personality is as gentle as his color. He speaks softly and walks slowly. He always likes to share the honey he finds with his friends. The little animals in the forest all say, "When we see Xiong Lan's blue fur, our hearts feel warm." That early morning, a light rain fell in the forest, and the air was cool and refreshing. Little squirrel Guogu, holding the pine nuts it had just found, was shivering in a tree hole. Its little nest was soaked by the rain, and there wasn't even a dry cushion. Xiong Lan passed by the tree hole and heard Guogu's soft sigh. She quickly stopped and said softly to the tree hole, "Guogu, don't be afraid. My fur is very warm. You can lean against me." Guogu climbed out carefully and dived into Xiong Lan's arms. Her deep blue fur was like a soft little quilt, keeping the cold wind out. Guogu was munching on a pine nut, and her heart suddenly felt cold. "Thank you, Xiong Lan. Your fur is warmer than my little nest, as if wrapped in a little sun. In the morning, the sun slowly rose, and the rain gradually dried up. Little Rabbit Rong Rong was practicing jumping in the forest when she accidentally sprained her ankle. Sitting on the grass, she was in so much pain that she was crying. Xiong Lan happened to pass by with a honey jar on her back. She quickly put it down, gently picked up Rong Rong, and rubbed her face with her soft fur. "Rong Rong, don't be sad. I'll take you to my place to rest. I still have sweet honey." He held Rong Rong and walked slowly, deliberately avoiding the path with small pebbles. When she arrived at Xiong Lan's tree-hole home, Rong Rong drank the sweet honey and her feet seemed to hurt less. She touched Xiong Lan's blue fur and said, "Xiong Lan, your home is so comfortable. The honey is sweet. You are the gentlest little bear I have ever seen." At noon, the little animals in the forest gathered in the open space to play hide-and-seek, but everyone thought it was too difficult to find a place to hide. Either they hid too obviously, or they would be scratched by the branches. Seeing everyone's anxious looks, Xiong Lan suddenly said, "You can hide beside me." "My hair color is bright, so it's not easy for everyone to notice that you are hiding behind me." Little hedgehog Q was the first to hide behind Bear Blue, with its round body just covered by the blue fur. Little ladybug Dian lay on Xiong Lan's ear, like a tiny red dot. The little animals they were looking for searched for a long time but couldn't find them. Finally, it was Xiong Lan who smiled and pointed at them, and everyone suddenly understood. Q happily said, "Xiong Lan, your blue fur is so amazing. It's even safer than a tree hole. Next time I play hide-and-seek, I'll still hide beside you." In the afternoon, a strange little fox named Duo came to the forest. Duo had just moved to the forest and didn't know any other little animals yet. She sat alone by the river, lost in thought, looking a bit lonely. After seeing this, Xiong Lan walked over with a small piece of honey and gently sat beside Duo, saying, "Hello, Duo, I'm Xiong Lan. Would you like to play with me?" Duo looked up and saw Xiong Lan's gentle eyes and deep blue fur. Her heart immediately calmed down. She took the honey and whispered, I'm a bit shy and don't know how to play with everyone." Xiong Lan smiled and said, "It doesn't matter. I'll take you to meet your friends. They are all very friendly." He took Duo's hand and introduced him to Guogu, Rong Rong, and Q. They soon started playing games together, and a smile appeared on Duo's face. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the forest orange-red. Under the setting sun, the Bear Blue fur seemed to have an additional layer of warm light. The little animals gathered around Xiong Lan, sharing the remaining honey and listening to him tell stories about his childhood. Duo leaned against Xiong Lan's arms and whispered, "Xiong Lan, it's so nice to have you around. I feel so warm in the forest now." Xiong Lan patted Duo's head and said softly, "As long as we are together, it will always be very warm." When the moon rose, Xiong Lan sent his friends home and returned to the tree hole himself. Leaning against the soft, dry grass, he was thinking about the happy times he had spent playing with everyone today, and the corners of his mouth gradually curled up. The forest is quiet, with only the rustling sound of the evening breeze rustling through the leaves. Thanks to Xiong Lan, this small forest has become increasingly lively and warm. Such days are sweeter than sweet honey and more beautiful than the deep blue hair.
The warm sun caresses the sky as a companion every morning. The sky welcomes a golden companion on time, and everyone calls him Nuan. He doesn't float around like clouds, nor does he come out at night like stars. Instead, he hangs steadily in the sky, wrapped in dazzling light all over, like a big golden ball that can heat up. Nuanuan's most remarkable ability is to bring warmth to every corner when it shines on the grass. The grass will turn green. When it shines on the flowers, the flower buds will bloom. When it shines on the children's faces, it can drive away all the morning grumpiness. Everyone says, with Nuan around, every day is a sweet and good day. That early morning, Nuan had just poked her head out from behind the eastern mountain when she saw the little squirrel Guogu shivering in a tree hole in the forest. It had rained cold last night, and the tree hole was a bit damp. Guoguo's little paws were red from the cold, and she didn't even have the strength to chew her favorite pine nuts. Nuan quickly turned the light a little softer and gently sprinkled it into the tree hole. Guogu, don't be afraid. I'll warm your hands for you. The sunlight fell on Guoguo's paws as if it were covered with a warm little quilt. In no time, Guoguo stretched out its paws, hugged the pine nuts, and jumped onto the branch, shouting to the sky, "Thank you, Nuan." Your light is warmer than my little nest. Now I can jump higher. In the morning, Nuan spread the sunlight on the fields in the suburbs. She saw the little butterfly flower spinning anxiously among the flowers. Her wings were wet by the morning dew and stuck to her body, unable to fly. If she waited for the dew to dry, she might miss the appointment with her friends. Nuan quickly focused the light on Hua's wings and gently sun-dried them. Hua, don't worry. I'll dry your wings for you. The sunlight slowly evaporated the dew on the wings. Hua tried to flap her wings and flew up in an instant, even circling in the sunlight. Thank you, Nuan. Your light is more effective than the wind. I can finally meet my friends. At noon, the children in the park were playing the game of stepping on shadows, but the clouds drifted over and blocked a little of the warm light, making the shadows faint. Everyone was a bit listless. Nuan quickly discussed with Yunduo. Yunduo, could you please make way a little? The children are still waiting to play games. The clouds gently drifted away, and warm light fell down again. The shadows on the ground became crystal clear, and the children chased after each other with smiles. Duoduo in the red dress was running and shouting, Nuan, you are so nice. With your light, our game is fun. Nuan looked at the children's smiling faces, and the light seemed to have become a little brighter. In the afternoon, Nuan noticed that the little sunflower by the ridge of the field was a bit wilted. It had been facing Nuan all along. But just now, a gentle breeze had blown its flower head askew, and it could no longer turn back to look at Nuan. The little sunflower lowered its head, with its petals drooping down as if it was sad. Nuan quickly pointed the light at its flower stem and whispered, Little sunflower, don't be sad, I'm here with you. The sunlight slowly shone on the flower stems. The little sunflower seemed to gain strength, gradually turning its flower head back, smiling at Nuan again, and gently swaying its petals as if expressing gratitude. In the evening, Nuan was about to slowly walk towards the back of the western mountain. She wanted to leave everyone a sweet memento, so she adjusted the remaining light to orange, red, pink, and purple and scattered them in the sky. This was the sunset glow that everyone saw. The little birds flew back to their nests in a line, watching the sunset as they flew. The mothers were taking their children for a walk by the roadside, pointing at the sky and saying, "Look, this is a gift from Nuan Nuan to us." Duardo held her mother's hand and shouted towards the sunset, "See you, Nuan Nuan, tomorrow. I still want to play shadow stepping with you." When the moon slowly rose, Nuan Nuan had already taken refuge behind the mountain to rest, but the warmth she left behind was still there. The grass carried the scent of the sun. The flowers concealed the traces of the sun, and in children's dreams the warm light would still appear, although Nuan Nuan is temporarily out of sight. Everyone knows that he will surely come back on time tomorrow morning, continue to bring warmth to every corner, and continue to spend a sweet day with everyone. Such days are more beautiful than the sunset glow, warmer than the sun, and more delightful than all sweet candies. The sweet memories of the little Peach's pink orchard in Grandpa's orchard. There is a tall peach tree. At the very top of its branches hangs the most eye-catching peach, and everyone calls her Fen. Her body was plump and round. She wore a tender pink coat, which was covered with a layer of fine white down, as if sprinkled with a handful of white granulated sugar. On her head was a small green hat, 2 tiny peach leaves. When the wind blew, they swayed gently, as if greeting a passing bird. When the peach leaves are not yet ripe, they are green. After being exposed to enough sunlight, they will gradually turn red from the tip and eventually become tender pink all over. They will also give off a sweet peach fragrance. Even butterflies flying by can't help but stop on the peach leaves to smell them. That early morning, just as Fen was moistened by the morning dew and shone brightly, she heard the anxious Gigi sound. It was the chirping of a little sparrow. It had been flying for a long time, its stomach growling with hunger, but it couldn't find anything good to eat. Shu landed on the peach branch and smelled the sweet fragrance on Fen. Its eyes lit up immediately, but it was afraid that its little paws might damage Fen and dared not approach. Fen quickly shook the little peach leaf on top of her head and said, "Shu, don't be shy. The fragrance on my body is inviting you." Shu carefully pecked at a small bite of Fen's flesh. Sweet juice spread in its mouth. It happily flapped its wings and said, "Thank you, Fen. Your flesh is sweeter than nectar. I'm finally not hungry." In the morning, the sun rose slowly. The little snail in the orchard was slowly looking for the sweetest dew, but after crawling for a long time, it only found a few slightly astringent leaves. Slowly smelling the sweet fragrance of the powder, I climbed up the tree trunk slowly and waved my antennae at the powder. Powder, do you know where there is sweet dew water? Fen pointed at the morning dew on her peach leaf. It was deliberately kept by her, shiny and still carrying the fragrance of peaches. Slowly lying on the peach leaf, she sipped the dew in small mouthfuls and shook her shell at Fen. "Thank you, Fen. Your dew is much sweeter than the one I found, and it even carries your fragrance." At noon, Duadwal, a little girl from the neighbor's house, came to the orchard to help her grandpa pick fruits. She immediately saw the pink ones at the top of the branches and her eyes lit up. "Grandpa, this peach is so pink. It must be extremely sweet." Grandpa smiled and nodded, then brought over a small stool and asked Duadwa to carefully pick off Fenfin. Duadwa held Fenfin in her palm, reluctant to eat it immediately. She whispered to Fenfin, "Fenfin, you are so beautiful. I'm going to take you to Lele to have a look." Pinfen lay in Duadwa's palm, feeling the warm temperature and feeling sweet in her heart. It turned out that she was not just a peach, but could make a child so happy. Duadwo took Fenfen to look for her good friend Lely. When Lely saw Fenfen, he immediately cheered. "Wow! This peach is more pink than any I've ever seen. Let's treat it as the little star of snacks and playhouse." They found a clean lotus leaf as a plate, placed the pink powder in the middle of the leaf, and also found a small branch as a fork, playing the afternoon tea game one after another. Tired from playing Duadwo and Lely shared Fenfen together, they took bites each other, and the sweet flesh made both of them laugh so hard that they squinted their eyes. Lele said while eating, "This is the sweetest peach I've ever eaten because I shared it with Duadwu." In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Fenfen recalled the little ladybug Diandian in the corner of the orchard. Its back shell was a bit cracked and it was afraid of getting wet by the rain. Fenfen quickly asked the peach friends who had not yet been picked to shake the branches, using the rustling of the leaves to remind Dian. Dian heard the sound and quickly climbed to the branch where Fenfen had been hanging before. This peach leaf was big and green, just right to keep off the rain. When the raindrops fell with a drip-drip sound, the dots lay under the leaves and shook the spot in the direction before the pink powder. "Thank you, pink powder. Your reminder came faster than raindrops. I didn't get wet at all." In the evening, the setting sun died, the orchard orange-red. Grandpa washed the peaches he had picked and put them in a plate. Duadwo and Lele surrounded them. He also invited Juju and Mungmung. Mungmung was lying on the edge of the plate to have a sharing session together. Grandpa picked up a peach and said with a smile, "Look, the tiny peach can not only fill your stomach, but also help friends and bring happiness. That's the sweetest part." Duadwo and Lele nodded half understandingly and picked up another peach. Today's peach seemed sweeter than usual because it contained Fenfen's enthusiasm. When the moon rose, the orchard was quiet, and the remaining peach branches were still gently swaying. Although Fenfen was eaten, her sweetness remained in Duadwo and Lely's mouths, and her enthusiasm stayed in Juju and Mungmung's hearts. When Grandpa was clearing the plates, he carefully collected the pink peach pits, planning to plant them in the orchard again next year. He knew that next spring new peach saplings would sprout here and new pink would grow, continuing to spread sweetness and joy in the orchard. Such days would be sweeter than the flesh of peaches and more colorful than the outer skin of the pink.